Hey, what's going on, guys? I have a fun one here for you guys today. I thought I would do a small tutorial on pretty much using something as simple as a cylinder and a box and a cube, and how like you can like combine them, right, to make something as simple as the waist, the hips, but also the torso. And more specifically, this kind of invention technique will really help with more, I guess, more feminine characters in portrayal of like the what's it called, the childbearing hips, right? I think that's the term on the internet that most people use, right? It's kind of the slim thick, right? You start off thin and then we go out wide, right? And I just want to show, just by applying something as basic as a cylinder and something as, a cube, box, rectangular prism, however you want to approach it, you can create something as like something similar to that. It's very simple. I did some demoing here off to the side as like a warm up, right? As you can see, we are taking the cylinder and we are like sticking it in, or like how can I say this, molding like taffy, right, into the cube or the box, right? And I'm just gonna show you guys just a quick tutorial breakdown on kind of implementing that, and how by taking a cylinder and a box and almost like subdividing it, taking the cylinder and cutting it into the box, you can have something as complicated as something like that. So maybe you have a particular character with this similar build, that you want to go with. This is one method or a way you can approach it to do so. So let's go on and just continue on this page. All right, and then let's invent some figures with the method I just talked about. All right. Now notice we started off with the box, right? Because the box is going to dictate the perspective and the angle we're going to have these figures in. So what I'm going to do is actually, before I even work off from this basic foundation, which is a box, I'm actually just going to put a bunch of boxes everywhere just to show, this can be applied in different angles and perspectives and whatnot. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Okay, so now that we have our various boxes, sketched in what in the perspective or what like that, the second step is what we're gonna do is we're gonna wedge these shapes, right? Because they start off as boxes, but we want to kind of get that wedge, right? That where it's kind of like a little bit more organic, to where we can start to layer things over the forms, right? So for an example, what I'm talking about right here, if I have this box, right? I'm actually gonna make it look more of like a rectangle, right? Because we're gonna push it out more further, right, in depth. And then that's how I have it. And what I mean by is it's almost gonna be like a U shape, right? So we're gonna take this point, that corner, and this point and that corner, and we are going to kind of like make almost like this horseshoe upside down U, right? And we're connected like that. Boom. And then we see these corners over here, right? The one, two. We're gonna do the same thing. U. So boom, and then what we're gonna do is now we're gonna take these corners to that horseshoe, or that corner, that horseshoe, that corner, and we're gonna connect them like this. All right. Actually, you don't have to connect that corner. I don't know why I did that. It really just needs to be that corner. Sorry. Um, and then boom. Notice how it's kind of like this wedge-like shape, and we're going to take this and we're going to apply it now to all these boxes. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so boom, now that we did that, you can almost see them. They almost look like more of like chest, right? And the same thing kind of goes also, the same invention also goes into actually designing chest also. But we're using it for the sake of the hips, because notice what we did here, you can kind of see that's what I was doing here, right, with the hip. And these are going to indicate those widths, right? That the slim thick rightness to the hip bones, right? The protruding, right? That's why we did that, and it's going to be a good indicator. So that's what we're going to do, and then what we're going to do is from the center line of these boxes or these planes, we're going to come down with a line down center for all of them. So that's what we're going to do. Let's do that. So boom, now that we did that, that's going to be a good midline to where what we're going to do is now we're going to take these two corners and we're going to arch it in, right, to essentially create the crotch area, in other words, right? So that's what we're going to do. So let's do it. All right, boom. And now that we kind of have those, right, we're starting to see it now in those particular perspectives. And then now this is where the cylinder is going to come into play. And we're going to take this cylinder, right, and we're just going to mash it inside, right, the center point of all these boxes. We're just going to take that cylinder and clunk, like just just stick it into the box. So that's what we're going to do. I do want to say, last minute, I wanted to change the perspective. I wanted to be from the back so that we're seeing the butt. Just to keep it kind of things a little bit more interesting instead of just all drawing them in front view, right? Just to show that this can also work in back view as well. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, as you can see, I got a little carried away here. I just wanted to take this more to a finish, but just show you that also it can be used from drawing the back view, right, of also the butt. So, and this, as you see in the process, this was constructed just from a box and a cylinder, right, essentially, right. So that's the main takeaway of this, and we're gonna move on, and we're gonna continue moving on forward with these. As you can also see, these are cylinders, but they've been kind of like pushed and bent or whatever like that. But make no mistake, this is a cylinder beneath all these forms. You know, you're just manipulating it, and you're playing with the forms as you're going, right? But that's the point, that these are all cylinders. All right, let's go ahead and do it. I just noticed I might have to like not finish because they're just too close to each other, but you can see it here because it's actually getting harder to read the more they're overlapping each other. I'm just noticing that now, but you can see here, right? This is the leg, that's the leg, and then we have the cylinder body right here, right? Yeah. So boom. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish this one, and then we're gonna use a new sheet of paper because this is a little messy. So let's work on this one final. Yeah. But yeah, we see this here. Let's move this to the side, and let's do one more to take this home. But so far, this is what we got. So, all right. All right. Let's wrap this up. Right. There you go, guys. So you see it here. It's all just the cube and the cylinder, right? That's all it is, and this is how you're gonna use this to draw your characters. Like I don't know her name, but I think it's Tatsumaki, whatever like that. You know, like the some of the females you see in One Punch Man, right? How they're very like they have very childbirthing hips, right? But also just very strong female characters, right? We kind of see like in mangas and comics like One Punch Man, right? Especially me, I like I do like my females with really strong legs. You know, I do think that's super attractive. Very defined, strong legs, and you kind of see here that's kind of like, but that's all this is, right? You know, I did go a little bit further here, right, with the legs, constructing the legs, but even the legs, obviously, even though the topic isn't on legs, it's more about like the waist, kind of the torso up. But the legs also can just be broken down into, you know, a simple cylinder. You know, that's all we're doing here, interlocking, right? Very gestural, um, leg, you know, with the heel coming out like that, right? And then you can already see this follows that gestural S curve, right, that we see here, right, the interlocking, right, with the leg. But I just wanted to show you guys, again, a relatively quick, simple tutorial. All you need is your box. Don't forget to turn it into a wedge. Boom. And then from then on, take that center point, come down with it, and then don't forget your cylinder. And then from then on, create your hips. Now you can make your thick thigh anime waifus. And that's the secret. All right. Thank you so much and take care, guys. Bye bye.